The MLB Players' Choice Awards just came out a little bit ago, and while they're certainly not nearly as high profile in national stature as an MVP, Silver Slugger, or Cy Young, they are pretty telling about the state of culture throughout clubhouses in Major League Baseball. And judging by one selection in 2025, something is really off about how players view one specific person. I'm talking about Shohei Ohtani, who got passed over for the National League's most outstanding player for Kyle Schwarber. Now, before we get into the absurdity of this ridiculousness, I will acknowledge that the American League player chosen was Cal Raleigh, who you could make a decent argument had a worse overall year than Aaron Judge. But in my personal opinion, I don't think this is nearly as egregious. I mean, the dude hit 60 homers as a good fielding catcher for a team that was one game away from the World Series. That's objectively really impressive, especially to other players. However, you can't use the same argument for Kyle Schwarber, and I'll show you why with a 3-point argument. First up, batting production. You see this screenshot? These are the major numbers of both Philadelphia's hulking slugger and Shohei. This is in no way meant to slight Schwarbs, as every one of those totals on screen aside from average and hits are certifiably elite. Yet, none of his numbers besides games played, home runs, and RBI are even in the same stratosphere with a Japanese superstar, with his value being 3 full WAR behind him, along with an OPS almost 100 points less. My second point concerns base running, which, obviously on the surface, slants in Ohtani's direction again, with him swiping 10 more bases at a ratio of 20-10. But it's actually even more stark than that, because his base running run value, which takes into account when you're, running the bases in circumstances beyond just trying to steal them, was in the 93rd percentile league-wide with 4. For a little reference, that was better than Francisco Lindor. Meanwhile, Schwarber was at -2, tied with guys like Marcell Ozuna and Nolan Arenado. To put it simply, one guy was certifiably elite, and the other was far below average. My third, and I believe best point I could make has to do with appearing in the field. Now, you might be saying both of these guys are DHs, so how is that relevant? Well, you don't just hop between the white lines when you're on the infield dirt or in the outfield grass, right? This also concerns what happens on the mound, where Otani managed to put up a 2.87 ERA through 47 innings, with 62 strikeouts, and the best strikeout-to-walk ratio of his entire career. Now, it was a small sample size for sure, but I think we can all agree that a sub-3 ERA and sub-2 FIP through that amount of innings is certainly worth something, and a lot more than just sitting on the bench 154 times, which is what Schwarber did in 2025, to go along with 8 appearances in left field, where, by the way, he still managed to post a -3 fielding run value somehow. If I haven't convinced you by this point that this selection is ludicrous on its face, I don't know how I would. My big thing is, I just don't understand why Shohei's fellow players would disrespect him like this, as I really don't think there's any argument you could make for picking Schwarber over him. Is it jealousy? Maybe just burnout from hearing about him so often? I don't know, but it still certainly left a bad taste in my mouth upon hearing it. Now, do I think he personally gives a crap? No, not a single one. But still, I think it's important we hold everybody in the baseball space accountable, not just writers and pundits, and as such, I think it was worth pointing out just how wrong MLB's own players got this one. Alright everybody, if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching, and if you did, consider checking out any of these other videos on your screen right now for other content just like this. Also, if you ever see anything you'd like to see me detail in the video, feel free to reach out to my email, basebpoet@gmail.com, and if I end up using your idea, I'll give you a shout out. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.